Put your records on. Go ahead, let your hair down. Alrighty. Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Hello, and I welcome you to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby. Anyway, y'all saw the title? You know what's going on? So you read the title, you know what's going on. There's not gonna be a whole long intro into it. I failed my first and hopefully only, but I don't really know. Instrument check ride. How does it feel to fail something that you have been training for roughly 2 years for, and to give your best and to give your most and then to fail? Kind of hilarious, actually. I was about to say feels bad, but then I really thought of it and it was sort of funny. When he told me I failed, like the first thing I thought was, huh, imagine that. Okay, that's
In a way, I guess some of the pressure is relieved because now I don't have to wonder about what it feels like.
This video isn't super streamlined just because 2020 is unscripted. I talked about this in the other video I just uploaded. I literally like named it 2020 is a blooper reel. I want this video to be unscripted because it is actually the first time I am talking about it in person. I mean, not technically in person, but it is the first time I'm actually verbally talking about the check ride day, and I just want to be honest about it. I just want to be raw about it. We're going to hope and pray that the autofocus is actually going to work today, and I'm trying to stay hydrated and also not use my hands as much and as aggressively, so I'm like holding this thinking it'll work. It probably won't, but anyway, I failed on pre-flight. Okay, let's bring it back in. Let's explain, Abby. I failed on pre-flight planning and I failed on cross-country, on my cross-country pre-flight planning, which is chapter 5 of the AIM Aeronautical Information Manual, which is what my DPE, my examiner, said for me to study before my retest.
You'll need to go back and read AIM chapter 5, which, I mean, I have, but oh man, y'all. Oh man.
If y'all don't know what's going on, basically, when you are in flight training, the end of your training, for any license or rating or whatever you're trying to get, you typically go in for an exam. It is a 2-part exam, so you do an oral spoken part where they basically sit you in a room and they quiz you for an hour to 3 hours. 2 to 3 hours, and they just ask you and they pick out your knowledge. So that's a spoken area, and then you go out to the plane and you do the flying portion. So when I say check ride, it just means exam day basically for pilots, and it is a 2-part exam day. So the spoken version and then the flying version. DPE, designated pilot examiner, or I'm just going to refer to him as examiner. The examiner is not your instructor. It's a totally different person. It's a totally different pilot. The examiner examines you. They do the spoken version, and then they also examine you. They also evaluate you in the flying. So basically it is a whole day type of exam. It's typically at least half a day. And I failed on the pre-flight, which is... So if you're watching this to try to figure out what I failed on, that's what I failed on right away. I'm just gonna be upfront with you and tell you, and I didn't even get to the flying portion. So I'm really sorry if you're coming here trying to get information about the flying part. I don't got it. I did not even make it to the flying portion. It's ultimately a lesson in failure. Failing a check ride, failing your exam is, like, it feels bad. It feels bad, but it's not the end of the world. A lot of pilots have failed at least one check ride because you take so many. I'm not gonna give a number, but you take a lot. So this, I am on my instrument. Pretty much every single one of these is going to have a check ride and an exam. People have been asking me, DMing me, you know, texting me, which I've
kind of ignored because I'm a terrible person.
Like, how are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling? How have you been, right? I mean, I've been listening to Avril Lavigne for the first time since I was like 14 in a major depressive emo phase. So take with that what you will, you know? Let's go into it. So from the very beginning of my instrument, I had a feeling I would fail my instrument check ride just because I have the worst testing anxiety ever. Like, I do not have testing anxiety when it comes to school, like, but if I'm perfectly honest, I have definitely testing anxiety. I'm definitely not... I have imposter syndrome. I always have that thing, well, I'm not good enough, you know, and when it came to my private pilot check ride, which I took and passed the first time back in July 2018 when I first became a pilot, I was so nervous, I was shaking. I also had more coffee that day than I have ever had. I don't recommend. So it is really weird and is making me second guess myself even more, which is fun. It's fun. I wasn't nervous at all. I wasn't shaking at all. I woke up pretty well rested, actually, around 5 a.m.
There does not look too cute, but we're heading that way also looks bad. I mean, Good thing we're gonna be on an instrument flight plan, right?
I got to the airport. We had to fly to the airport where I was taking my checkride exam and meeting the examiner. So I was with it, I was flying, I shot the ILS into that airport. Actually, I did pretty well too. Like, she looks kind of cute. I'm gonna throw up a picture because I do want attention for that. I worked for that. We landed, tied up the plane, my instructor took care of the fuel, and I met the examiner. And the examiner asked me, he said, "Are you nervous?" And I kind of just looked at him and I didn't answer. And he laughed and he was saying like, "Oh, that's good." And I was thinking I didn't answer because I'm actually not nervous and I feel like I should be a little bit. If you want to know what the actual process is like, well, we were sitting in this sunny, sunlit room. It was very beautiful actually, and I was thinking, okay, like I feel like the exam is going pretty well. It's been about an hour and a half. I want to say I failed about halfway through the oral exam. I think it was about halfway through, but of course they don't always go exactly 3 hours or 2 hours. I mean, it depends just on the examiner, it depends on your individual exam and your knowledge, but I think we were about halfway through, but overall I thought it was going okay. And then right before I was gonna ask for like my second bathroom break, because you know I'd be drinking too much water, you know I'd be needing to go to the bathroom, he asked me a question which made me really nervous and kind of shook my confidence, because he asked me, "How many instructors have you had?" And I was thinking, that's not great that you're asking me that. Just so y'all know, it's not good if an examiner asks you that, because it probably means, I mean, it could be good, but the way he said it, I was like, oh, shoot, like, why do you have to, I thought this was going well, like, I thought we were friends, like, I made you laugh. I answered him and I said, I've had 3 instructors in about the past 4 months, and he said, it shows. And I was like, oh, like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, after he said that, I realized that he knew I had gaps in my knowledge, because if somebody asks you how many instructors you've had, it probably means you have gaps in your knowledge or you're doing very trashy on something and they're trying to give you benefit of the doubt. Now, basically what happens is my confidence that is like, you know, like this, sometimes up, sometimes like this, is out here. And I'm like, I don't know what reality is, because I failed on something I did not even see coming. My instructor didn't see it coming. When I told my instructor that I failed on pre-flight, he was really surprised. He was out getting Taco Bell, and I call him and I'm like, yo, like, bad news, you need to come back. The exam ended, and he was just like, oh, what happened? What did you fail on? And I tell him I failed on cross-country flight planning, and you know how that feels? It does not feel good. It feels, and you don't fail for one question, you fail after a couple multiple questions. It was multiple questions that piled up that concerned him, and most of them were private. The first strike was he asked me what the little R meant, so that was an IFR question. That means minimum reception to be able to identify the fix, which is something I know, like I know that, like y'all know that I know, and I know that I know, but in the moment my confidence was like, yo, what is going on? And I was thinking like, he knows I've had multiple instructors, like that means he is not happy with how this exam is going. And I'm just like nervous, not visibly sweating, but like, okay, I mean, like we can get through this. And I was stumbling over that question, and then we were talking about true airspeed and I was fumbling a little bit, but the final cut, the final one where he just ended the exam, was when we talked about ground speed. So he asked me, how did you get your ground speed, or how would you get it? And I said, I don't know, or I said, there's a formula, but I'm trying to remember it right now. And he was looking at me with such this face of disapproval, y'all, and I was like, my brain was just short-circuiting. And he said like, I'm disappointed that you don't know, I'm disappointed in you. And I'm like, okay, like it's not the first time I've heard that. So I couldn't remember. I was like, ground speed, Abby, ground speed, come on, it's ground speed, it's ground speed.
Like my mind just completely went blank, and I have a really hard time with calculations and remembering calculations, because even though I'm good with math and numbers, I can't do calculations. I'm not good at that, you know, so.
You know what ground speed is, but I also did not. At that moment, in that room, my brain failed me. And he ended it right there because he said,
ground speed is something you should know. That is very basic. I'm ending this exam now because I feel worried that you don't know basic private pilot cross-country planning. And
it wasn't my altitude or even specifically instrument things that he failed with me on. It was, the last straw was kind of ground speed. He pointed the ground speed that I had on my plan that I did last night actually, and I kind of just wrote in random numbers. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you,
it's not the examiner's fault. Don't be mad at him. Don't be, it was a collective tsunami of trash. Because I kind of knew my cross-country planning was a little bit weak, but I thought, well, that's private, they're not really gonna test me on that.
If you feel like you're weak on something, you should probably talk to your instructor about that if you have an instructor at the time. and go over it.
So I feel like I am strong in my instrument knowledge and I'm strong in my flying, and then he gets me on something that I should have known 2 years ago, on something that my instructor now, my third instructor, he said, I didn't even think to test you on that or to do a mock exam with you on that, because he was saying to me like, I thought that you knew that, and I was like, I thought I knew that too.
I was thinking, oh, I don't have a costume today, but I am a failure. That's the scariest thing ever.
Like, I just didn't, like, I can't believe the mistakes I made. So it was kind of the power setting I picked. It was true airspeed. The final one was ground speed though. The final one was ground speed because he was like, if you don't know this, like, I can't continue the exam. Like, we need to end it now. He was nice about it. It was weird because I was just like in the chair looking at him, like deadpan face. I was just like, wow, this is really happening right now. Like, that was like nearly $1,000 out of my wallet. Like, I feel lighter, so that's great. Like, thinking of all the, like, the shifts I'm gonna pick up, the sleep I'm not gonna get, right? So I'm just like stone face, like looking at his desk, like, this feels bad. What? And it was beautiful weather to fly to outside the window.
Beautiful day to fly though. It's honestly a perfect day to fly right now.
Look. Man, it's such a nice day to fly to. I was so hyped though. I was so hyped. Oh, okay. Oh well. It is what it is. But I think the biggest problem now for me that I wanted to talk about in this video is I don't know what reality is. Probably like, yeah, Abby, we can tell. We can tell you're a little bit weird. No, I don't mean that. I mean, I gave everything I had on that exam day. I thought I had everything that needed to be had to pass the exam. I thought I was ready. Everybody was telling me I was ready. I had multiple friends that I tested with for the oral spoken exam and that I flew with, and they're like, yeah, you're ready, you know. Like, and even me, I'm extremely hard on myself. I've talked about this before. I thought I was ready. If I'm not ready on my hard personal standards, now I don't know when I'm gonna be ready, because my sense of reality is like, well, I don't know when I'm gonna feel ready again. That's the thing. And with the holidays coming up, it might be a minute. It might be a minute until I can honestly say I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pass today, because that's what I thought that day. And then he nailed me on something that was private pilot that I didn't even think about for probably the past 2 years, which is also why he got me on it, because I haven't thought about ground speed in a really long time, I'll be honest. He failed me on something I didn't even think about. Like, it is just... So that is an issue I want to talk about, but I do also want to talk about not giving up, because like, you're not guaranteed to pass the first time. You're not guaranteed that life is going to be cute to you. You're not guaranteed success, basically, even if you work for it, which I think is a lesson I have learned. So I'm studying cross-country planning.
It's cool. I also did say that, oh, people normally fail their instrument the first time, so now I have to be true to that, and I'm gonna announce it. I'll tell everyone that I failed, because I mean, you can't always win in life. I want to be a basketball coach. I'm kind of like, it's kind of my position.
Which, now that I think about it, I made a video on cross-country planning. I even think I was wearing the same shirt and necklace in that video. I made that video on cross-country planning, so we're going back to the basics. I don't even know, y'all. I don't even know. The holidays are coming. I'm stressed about it, but I'm also like chilling at the same time. It's a really weird combination. We're going back to the basics. I'm ending this video because I don't want to talk about myself more. I'm really done. I'm really done. Deadass, what it says that I failed on in the letter of disapproval, it says pre-flight. There's no point trying to be secretive about it. Like, when did that countertop crack? That's a pretty big crack, I'm not gonna lie. Did someone like fall on their butt? Like, that is... I think you're not gonna fall, but I've said that in the past and you've fallen on my face, so... And we're gonna try to... Don't do it, ho. Don't go out of focus. I believe in you. All right. What's wrong? What's wrong, baby? What? You're doing the thing. You're doing the in and out thing. Maybe if I stay here. Y'all know in Arizona, or if you're not, and what is this camera angle, bro? What is going on? Wait, hold up a minute. I just went to get some water and the world just, It got dark at 6 p.m., but there was a time change. If you're from Arizona or other parts of the world, don't comment. I know, we're imperial system. What do you expect from us Americani? Like, what do you expect, to be honest? But I'm molte coffee. I had so much coffee that day. Highly do not recommend. Highly do not recommend. It's 2020. Like, did we expect good things? Oh, that's depressing. Deci, video astea sunt pentru prietenii mei care sunt pilot. I'm sure I messed up at least 4 of those words, or 14 of those words in that 3-word sentence. No. We're done. We're done with that. This video is not for pity. This video is not for attention. I mean, we were kind of like in the ending of the world right now with 2 months left of 2020. We're gonna make it through. I just like being dramatic, but we are in the home stretch of 2020 and we all need to survive these next 2 months. So this video isn't to call attention to me because A, that's disgusting, and B, I don't need it. I'm very detached from the event. I still can't believe it actually happened. It's kind of hilarious. So what? Really, really bad and sad and mad. I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad about it. It was about a week ago, still mad.